Okay. And people always come and go, so we can start. How is everybody? I love seeing the familiar faces. I'm going to ask that everyone keeps yourself muted just until I give the space for the open Q&A, because sometimes background noise plays and then it's hard for other people to hear me or for me to hear you. Today's call is about balancing your hormones. Feel free, by the way, if you ever have a question that you want to interrupt me with, either to raise a hand or to type it into the little message box below, because I do check those as I go. And I stop periodically to answer questions. If you're the first time joiner here, I do have a whole Q&A section at the end where it's just totally open form. You ask whatever you want about nutrition, products, about the content at hand, whatever you want. But during the actual beginning of the call, I kind of usually teach on some kind of subject and then ask questions along the way there. So that's that. If you don't know me, my name is Lisa. I'm the nutritionist here at Raw Generation. I develop all the products that we have, the systems that you guys do. So I'm usually the best one to answer your questions most of the time. So we'll take it from there. So today's topic is all about balancing your hormones. Big topic, it definitely is a topic I think that women deal with a lot, but it's definitely also a topic for men, and it's under talked about for men because, men's hormones can go out of whack as well, especially as they age, So I thought it would be wise to talk about. And then, like I said, as always, you can branch out into whatever you have questions about after the fact. So I did not know if we would have a large or small group today with a topic very niche to more so women. So it looks like we might, but that's I like when the small groups are, or we have a small group sometimes because they get really to deep in your questions. So if you're not, too familiar, hormones, are responsible for just about every kind of function in your body, one way or another. It directly impacts your energy levels, your mental focus and clarity, your ability to have good memory and to focus at work. Your weight certainly is impacted by hormones, especially if you're a woman. And of course, with the hormonal fluctuations during certain times of life for women. Today I was going to focus a tiny bit on perimenopause and menopause because, the reality of it is most of our customers are between 45 to 55. Not all of them, but a lot of them are, and women. So I knew it's a topic that's pressing for many of you, or maybe some of you have already gone through that and just still are dealing with some of the aftermath of having your hormones fluctuate, and maybe are struggling to keep weight off, to lose weight, or to have your skin be clear and soft again, or your hair not be falling out, or there's all kinds of things that could happen when your hormones fluctuate. And this also goes for women and men not in those phases of life, because when your hormones are out of whack, it can cause so many imbalances in your body, and lots of times it can even present as other kinds of diseases. And sometimes people think they have like an autoimmune disorder or something, and the reality of it is they just have to have their hormones rebalanced. And when that happens, it's amazing how good you can feel. Just going to say one more time, if you don't mind everyone muting yourself on your screen, just so outside noise doesn't come in. That being said, there's a few factors I want to hit, 5 different points I'd like to hit. First of which being dietary support for your hormones, what to eat or not to eat that help balance your hormones. And obviously this could be a whole talk in and of itself, just the food aspect of hormones. And that could probably be like a 2 or 3 hour seminar if I was to give one, because it's just such an in-depth topic, but we'll do like a high level overview. Hormones and the glands that produce your hormones are extremely sensitive to anything chemical. I'll get into this more as far as like lifestyle stuff later, but in food as well. So that is pesticides, fungicides, and herbicides on produce. That could also include things like antibiotics and hormones in dairy and animal products. It's anything like food colorings, additives, fillers, gums, all these things that are many times artificial, that are, man-made or industrialized. Our bodies are sensitive to those things, and hormones and your hormone producing glands are especially sensitive to those things, and even more so during times when your hormones are in fluctuation. So this points to what we always talk about here, which is having a more whole foods based diet, whether that's whole plant foods, whole animal foods, as close to nature as possible. Try to stick with the non-GMO, the organic when you can. Fruits, vegetables, juices, smoothies, all of that stuff. That part I think you pretty much have a good handle on. But people don't always realize how much chemicals in food and in other areas of life can really, really majorly affect your hormone cycles in life. So that's something you find out by looking at labels, by going less on the processed aisles of the grocery store and more towards the outer aisles where where the produce and things, whole foods are. And of course, no one's going to be 100% perfect with this, but the more you balance it and the more you prioritize those fresh foods, the better you're going to feel. And that's not just your hormones. That's a lot of areas of life that are affected by this exact same lifestyle change. But this call is obviously about hormones. Some foods that you want to think about incorporating more so and to keep in mind, number one would be dark leafy greens. So now greens, number one, they lower excess estrogen, which sometimes is a problem. They also lower cortisol. So now cortisol, if you don't know, is a stress hormone. That's what causes fat around your midsection, that stubborn side handles, things that the women hate and men hate too. And it seems to happen more so as we age. That is usually due to cortisol production, over cortisol production in the body. And that happens for many reasons. One is, I'll go into these a little bit later, stress, lack of sleep, things like that. But diet can also play a part. And certain foods can help lower those cortisol levels. And one of those foods is dark leafy greens. One of the many, many, many reasons why I always promote having at least one green juice or green smoothie every single day, if not more. Definitely one of the key reasons. Now with the Signature Reset program that we have, which is the 90-day program, those customers are having 2 green drinks every single day. And those, I have quite a few testimonials from that group noticing a definite improvement in their hormone function, in the blood level testing, improvement in not having hair loss anymore, having better sleep. Actually, usually there's a man on this call who has a great sleep story, but he's not here right now. If he comes in, I'll make him tell it to you from that program. Of course, the weight, this is not so much a weight-focused phone call, although, however, video call rather, but it definitely plays a part in weight management. So if that's your goal as well. Secondary to greens is healthy fats. So now, depending on what you read and what you watch, some people are completely terrorized and afraid of eating any kind of fats, and some are like really, really eating more fat and protein and like very little carbs. So my take is this: I don't believe in eating nothing but fats and protein. If you've been here for any of my calls or read any of my emails, you know that I'm all about healthy carbohydrates and farm fruits and vegetables. And I recommend having those be at least 80% of your calories every day. However, healthy fats are super important, and it's important to incorporate even more of them if you're in an age spot in life. And so for women, this is, like I said, in your 40s through your mid to late 50s. And men, it's usually for when you're over 50 that you need these extra fats, because the omega fatty acids in them, the DHA, all the different things, they majorly impact your hormone functioning. These healthy fats are cold pressed oils. So definitely not refined or seed oils, but like an extra virgin olive oil. And I specify extra virgin because that's the only true cold pressed and raw type of oil. So you don't just want a regular olive oil or a light olive oil. You want extra virgin cold pressed, first cold pressed, ideally olive oil, ideally unfiltered if you can find that as well, in a glass dark bottle. Because another thing to keep in mind with like a 2-liter is the plastic bottles and things that have plastics. Plastics are a killer for your endocrine system. So glass bottles and glass containers whenever possible in all your food and your endeavors, but specifically with your oil. You want to have your nuts and seeds raw and unroasted, because when fat is cooked, and you guys should know this too if you've been here before, anytime you heat a fat, even a healthy fat, you are chemically changing the composition of that fat, and your body does not use it or process it the same way. So one is detrimental to your health and one is positive for your health. So raw, unheated fat is great for you. Once you start heating it and cooking with it, not so much. So your olive oil, you don't want to be sauteing in it. You want to be adding it after the fact if you maybe either steam or dry bake or water saute that we've spoken about in the past. And if you have questions about that, if you haven't been here before, we can talk about it after. You want to do things like a raw nut butter or raw nuts and seeds, not toasted. Avocados are another thing. Coconut is another great source of fat. Those are the ones I tend to always prioritize. Finally is fruits, of course. I mean, they're good for everything, but specifically vitamin C rich fruits like berries, citrus, vitamin C helps regulate progesterone production. So those are obviously 2 main female hormones, estrogen and progesterone. And so when they're out of whack, you're out of whack. So foods that regulate those things help put you back in whack. So those are the ones that I prioritize. So now before I get into all the lifestyle practices, which goes more into the chemicals and other things, any questions about the food part that I just had? You can feel free to unmute if you want to ask a question or just type it in. Not yet. Okay. Lifestyle practices that affect your hormones. Now, for me, the first one is definitely the one I struggle with the most, and that's sleep, your sleep habits. The most affected gland by your sleep habits is your thyroid. And as you know, many, especially women right now, over 40, have thyroid dysfunction. I mean, I have a list of women in my life, clients and friends alike and family, who have under or over active thyroids. It's like an epidemic now. I personally feel it's related to the chemicals in our food, the glyphosate on our produce. I think it's a mechanism of all that kind of stuff. But sleep is a major regulator for your hormones. And so ideally, I say this to myself and to you, the most restorative hours of sleep are the hours before midnight. So an ideal sleep cycle would be something like a 10 to 6, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Or if you're ideally what you want to strive for, whatever time you go to sleep, is that you rise naturally without an alarm and that you don't wake fatigued. So now that's not something that happens naturally for everybody. I know this. I'll tell you, like for myself, no matter what time I finally do get to bed and stop working or whatever I'm doing, I conk out and I sleep like a log straight through, and I do wake up naturally without my alarm. I'm blessed in that way. However, I know a lot of people really struggle and have to have multiple alarms to wake up, and they wake up and they need their coffee to function. They can't even think about going out of their house for an hour until they've had their coffee and had a chance to wake up. If that's you, your hormones are not working properly right now. You probably have stressed adrenal glands. And one of the best ways to fix that is to start pushing your bedtime earlier, and even to do it for a time to see and notice the difference. It might feel really strange at first, so you're cutting your day shorter, but you will have a more productive day. I guarantee you the next day. And I can speak from experience. I hate to think like I'm giving up 3 hours of my evening because that's when I maybe have my quiet time finally, or I'm finally watching a show or something because I'm working till like, I don't know, 12:30 or something crazy. But the nights when I force myself and I go to bed before 11 or by 10, my next day is unbelievably more productive. I mean, I bounce out of bed. I have my workout, my shower, my house chores, everything is like done, and I'm ready to go before 8 a.m. in the morning. And like that does not happen on the days when I push myself and stay up at 2 a.m. doing whatever I do. So I can't stress enough getting good sleep, or trying to get good sleep on some kind of a regular basis. Stress, we talked about a little bit. High stress definitely produces cortisol, which, as I already explained, cortisol is a stress hormone. You obviously can't control stressful factors that happen in your life because they're going to happen, but you can control your response to them as much as, it's more about like, what is it, the phrase, act, don't react, I think it is. There are things you can do, and this is not like, knowledge that you don't know, like with either, whether it be taking time for, quiet time for yourself, hobbies for yourself, writing, prayer, meditation, whatever things it is that brings you to a place of calm. Those things, even though they seem like they're kind of like, who has time for that stuff? Make a little time for it, even like a few minutes here and there in your day, because that reduces your cortisol levels on a regular basis. So like, if you're super stressed at work, take 10 minutes, take a quick walk outside, like breathe some fresh air and like relax yourself so that you don't produce excess cortisol, so you don't end up having weight you can't lose the next few weeks or whatever, because that's how it works. Like it's a constant cycle that we are all in if we're working professionals or even just busy lives, as parents with children or whatever the case might be. We never stop going. So, and that is not good for your hormones at all. Another source of cortisol production is over-exercise. So I'm definitely a proponent of exercising, but over-exerting yourself in exercise can have a negative effect if you do too much. So you don't want to go crazy with that either. Also, these are the typical things, but I mean, overly excessive alcohol drinking or smoking, definitely detrimental to your hormones, 1,000%. They're very, very sensitive to that. And alcohol, which is like, has become so socially common. Like it seems to me like when I go out with my friends, nothing happens without it in the picture. I'm not personally much of a drinker at all, but everyone else I know is. It's almost like an event can't happen without it. But you really can still be social and sip like one drink instead of having like 4 or 5, which helps your weight. It helps your hormones. It helps your sleep. It helps your skin. It really helps everything. And if you're at a spot in life where you're trying to be healthier, I mean, as fun as alcohol can be, it can really set you back majorly, health-wise and weight-wise, to have on any kind of regular basis in a large amount. Now, finally, I left this part for last with the lifestyle because it's a bigger topic and I feel like it might cause some question, is the chemicals in our personal care products and our cleaning products. So I learned this over time. I didn't initially know these kinds of things, and I studied the more I learned about different things relating to health and nutrition over the years. And it was interesting because if you don't know, if you haven't been here before, I eat a mostly raw diet. I have for 20 years, raw, primarily raw vegan, but I do eat some other things too that are not vegan. And after I did this raw diet for about 6 months, I started noticing I would start sneezing or get a rash from my shampoo. I couldn't get the blonde highlights put in my hair anymore. Like little things, I would sneeze if I used scented hand soap. Like I started becoming very sensitive to these things that I never was before. But when your body's in more of a toxic state, it's not so sensitive. And the more you detoxify, the more sensitive you become to these environmental chemicals. So it's kind of like, it's a little bit of like ignorance is bliss because you don't realize you don't know. But then your body starts telling you what it's not good for it. And so little by little, I started kind of phasing out different parts of, like, I didn't do it overnight because it's expensive and I just didn't, I wanted to find things that worked. So little by little, I changed out my hair products or my makeup or my creams and my cleaning stuff. And like, to switch to cleaner and cleaner and cleaner versions, to the point of where now, like if I go to someone's house and I use like their soap and stuff, like I know I'm going to sneeze in reaction to it. Like I use it. I'm not like living in a bubble, but I know that if I don't have my stuff with me, that I'm going to be reacting to it because my body tells me now when I'm exposed to chemicals. Well, those chemicals are such a major player when it comes to two things, when it comes to hormones and when it comes to autoimmune disorders. So, and I have a ton of autoimmune disorder clients in my practice, my private practice. I would say the two most common types of people that come my way are autoimmune clients that can't get a lot of benefit from conventional help, or women in their 40s and 50s who just can't lose weight because they're in this perimenopause or menopausal stage. Those are my two biggest clients groups. So I speak to this with a lot of experience over the last 20 years, specifically in these two areas. It makes a big difference, because all these chemicals that are in these products, the parabens and even things that are paraben free, a lot of these are greenwashed. I'm sure you've heard of that before. They look like they're clean, but they're really not. If you look deeply at what's actually in the back of these ingredients, and they're endocrine disruptors. They directly disrupt your hormonal system, especially for children. Like when it's developing, it's even worse for them because it's in a child's body, there's small little body, it's a more concentrated chemical going in. It's even worse than it is for adults. And also I didn't mention this, but also sometimes over-the-counter and prescription medicines can cause disruption to your hormones. So I know, we're in a culture that, we tend to lean more on conventional medicine rather than holistic medicine, where some other cultures do holistic medicine first and conventional medicine as a last resort. So it's not uncommon to be on multiple prescriptions or to take over-the-counter aspirin or painkillers or decongestants and things. So I don't discount conventional medicine, and my whole practice is called Bridge Wellness, and it works with conventional doctors. It's melding the two worlds together. I'm all about putting the two worlds together and finding a happy medium. However, I think we tend to over-medicate in our country because we are so, like, not to get political, but we're so big pharma backed with everything that we do. So everything's about the drugs to take and the drugs to take to cover the symptoms of the next drugs you take. And the more you can get off of some of those things, or you can work to lessen those, the healthier your body's overall going to be. Because the reality of it is, those pills might really benefit you and you might need them to live. So I'm not telling you not to take them. However, they're also a form of poison. So if there are if there are holistic ways you haven't looked into, like cholesterol drugs, for example. Some people need them for the rest of their life because they can never lower it naturally. But if you haven't tried, you might want to talk to your doctor about trying to lower them naturally, or going off them for a short time, or lowering them for a short time, and seeing if dietary and lifestyle changes can lower your cholesterol. Because I've had tons of clients lower their cholesterol, their blood pressure, their triglycerides with diet alone, and they've gotten off their medications. It's definitely a doable thing. So it depends on how much you want to take your own health into your own hands. But that's what I live to teach. So that's obviously what I promote. Okay, so before I get into perimenopause specifically, any questions about any of that? Comments, questions? We're quiet today. Okay, I guess I'm talking too much. All right, so let's just talk for a few seconds about perimenopause. If you're not familiar with that term, that is the 10 years prior to menopause. And that's why I'm saying 40s and 50s, even though when you're 40, you're definitely not going to menopause in most cases. Of course, in extenuating circumstances, but most people aren't. Those 10 years prior to 50 or 55, your body has started that process. And some women feel none of it. You look exactly the same until the day it changes. But some women do feel it. And some women start having problems with with weight gain before then, or with sleeping, or with hair, hair thinning and things. Like I've dealt with all kinds of those things in my practice over the years. So the tips I'm telling you are more so to set yourself up for success. Like, start as soon as you know about this information. Don't wait until you turn 50 or 55. Start doing it when you're 40 or 35 or whatever the case might be, because if you set yourself up with those habits early, you'll have a way easier transition and less negative effects down the road to have to deal with. And then hopefully maybe you'll be able to avoid having to do hormone replacement. You never know. Like, you might be able to avoid some of the conventional treatments that some people have to go through. And that's case by case, you never know. But regardless, you can still set yourself up for success so that you don't have those energy dips and, the hot flashes as badly. I use my mom as a case in point. I did this stuff with her. And while she still went through those changes in life, she had a way easier transition than a lot of her friends. And I think I attribute it to the way she, learned to eat and the juices she drank and things like that. So I'm not gonna go too much into that because we do have some guys here too, but that's just that little story there. But this is both men and women, how nutrient absorption changes when you're over 50. For both men and women, your ability to uptake nutrients starts getting less and less from, basically, they say, from 50 onward, meaning that you can have the same burger when you were 40 that you have when you're 50, and you might only, I'm making these numbers up, you might only be able to uptake 40% of the iron in that red meat when you're 50 or 55. Meanwhile, you could do like 80% when you were 40. Your body's ability to uptake nutrients just degrades as you age, just a symptom of aging. However, it's not a sentence of aging, because you can actually change that. And the way to change that is by incorporating dark leafy greens every day. Chlorophyll, which is the green pigment in dark greens, resets the homeostasis of your gut. It resets your hydrochloric acid in your stomach. That's the digestive acid in your stomach. Most people don't even realize how low their stomach acid is. And many people are achlochloric, meaning they have no stomach acid. And without a test, you wouldn't know that. But the majority of people in this country that have been tested are. Greens, over the course of time, it usually takes 3 to 6 months of having daily green juices, your stomach acid will rebalance. And when that acid rebalances and is strong, you uptake nutrients properly, digest nutrients properly as well. So, and that's what starts to degrade as you age. So I strongly recommend, whether you do it with our products or your own homemade smoothies, having dark greens at least 5 days a week, if not every single day, is a literal lifesaver and game changer, more than any supplement, more than any multivitamin, more than anything else you can eat or drink, or whatever trending thing you hear about. Like, I meet my clients so many years later, and I see them like in a store, and they say, I never stopped my green smoothies. I still make my green smoothies every day. Like, you drilled it into my head for so many reasons. We offer green juices here. We offer green smoothies here, but you can also make your own. If you have a good blender, they're mostly fruit. You add a few nice big handfuls of greens. They taste sweet. They don't taste like greens if you've never made them before. If you want some specific recipe ideas, we can do that at the end. I'm happy to give you some of my favorites. I make them almost every day. I made them for my nieces and nephews. They're like 4, 6, and 8, 9 years old, and they love them. They ask me for my parsley smoothie since they were kids. You can really, it's amazing what you can do, because it tastes good. It doesn't taste like scary green. That's why I love our juices and stuff, because, once I came here, I reformulated a lot of our recipes to smell and taste delicious, so people enjoy getting in their greens. It's not a chore. They're going to look forward to it. They crave them, so that's my little spiel about that. And finally, just some special tips I wanted to give when you do deal with stubborn weight loss. And most times, not all the time, but many times, stubborn weight loss can be a result of hormone disruption, which is why it fits in with this topic. Don't be discouraged, first of all. If you are, I'd say, 48, 50 plus, and a woman, or a man, but more so a woman in the situation, who has not been able to drop weight or feels like it's impossible to lose an ounce, you are 100% not alone. I come across it literally every day. And this is my advice. It's a slow process. It's not impossible. You will not be able to drop weight most likely the way you did when you were younger, but you certainly can if you're willing to be more strict with yourself, or more, not even strict is the right word, more disciplined with yourself than you had to be in your past. And it's unfortunate. It's a truth of life. You will have less of that to do if you've gotten yourself successful before that point happens. If you've gotten into good habits and doing those things, you won't need to do it as strongly. But it's more so like a means to an end, right? So when I have a a perimenopausal or menopausal client, and they just are so frustrated. They tried every diet. They eat next to nothing. They calorie restrict. They eat like a tiny portion of this, and they have a half a banana here, or they have like these little. Most of the time, when I assess those people's lifestyles and diets, I find chemicals everywhere. I find it in the little portions of chocolate or food they're having, the little Ensure shakes they're drinking, the fat-free half and half they're using to try to save calories, the sugar-free Jello they're having. I find it in under eating the right foods, like the carbohydrates that they need to function, and so their body's not holding on to excess weight. And those are all topics we talked about before. We could talk about them some more now if you haven't been here before and you want to. It's more so just like a don't give up and be more diligent about what you're having. Don't let yourself don't fall into the marketing traps of these companies that tell you something's healthy when it's really not. Do your own research, read the labels yourself. Just because something says gluten-free on the front does not mean it's a health food. If something says fat-free or sugar-free, it most likely is the opposite of a health food. 9 times out of 10, those are the foods you should stay the furthest away from. You should go, I'd rather you have like a full fat, whole organic milk than a skim plus milk any day. That's for weight loss sake, from hormone sake, from health sake, from autoimmune disorder sake, from whatever your situation in life might be. That's always my advice across the board. And that's not just milk. I'm just using that as an example with all foods. Better to use real organic grass-fed butter than it is to use margarine or canola spread or like that country crock or whatever the heck that stuff is, or the Olivia. They market that as being so healthy, and it's full of junk. And that junk keeps you from losing weight. It keeps your hormones from balancing. It fills you with toxins. And that's the story with that. So that was a longer spiel than I usually have. I guess I'm passionate about this topic. So now the floor is yours. If you just joined, a lot of people just joined. You can ask about the topics at hand. You can ask about our products. You can ask about general nutrition questions in your own personal life. As a nutritionist, I can answer anything that's, within my knowledge space. And usually once the ball gets rolling, it kind of just starts going from there. So I would love to hear your questions or your comments if you have comments to make it generally speaking or whatever. So who's up? Hi, Ty. Go ahead. You can unmute and ask. Hope you're still muted, so I can't hear you yet.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. So I was just saying thank you. I didn't have any questions, but I wanted to say thank you for the information. I myself have done this cleanse with you all for quite some time, and I've included my family members now. So I just wanted to say thanks for the information and the
Oh, sure.
great quality product.
What do you usually use? The skinny cleanse or different stuff? Or
Yes, we use the skinny cleanse, and I've used the protein shakes smoothies before.
oh, nice. I'm glad you're here. Thanks you for the positive feedback.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yep. Christine, feel free to, you're up. Did you want to unmute, Christine? I see your hands raised. Oh, Christine, I'm going to go to this next question. And whenever you want to unmute, just unmute and ask the question. So Jen has asked, dark leafy greens, any chance you would make a powder version or any you'd recommend? Love the drinks, but they aren't always practical on a daily basis. Jen, we actually did used to have a green powder. It was created before I was here, and I didn't really love it. We decided not to keep it because it could have been a better, I think, product than it was. It was good, but I think it could have been better. We just launched our first powdered line, a powdered cleanse that's really nutritionally dense. So a green one is certainly in the mind. It's not on the gamut yet to be done, but definitely not no, just not yet. But yeah, for sure.
Hi, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can. Yep.
I was trying to get my microphone to work. Thank you for all this information. I was just wondering, I just subscribed to like every 4 weeks to I just started the protein-based
The protein,
with the protein boost also.
the protein method. That's
Yeah.
the new one. Yes.
And I chose that one because I'm someone who's like very active. I work out a lot. So I want to keep the protein there, but also include the greens and everything. But also, I'm definitely in perimenopause. So
Okay.
I'm 43 and I having hot flashes and
Okay.
So I'm just not sure if that's if I'm choosing the right.
Well, that program is definitely based around more calories for people that are really active. How active are you? Like when you say you're active?
I pretty much, well, I work out and train probably 5 to 6 days a week. I do jujitsu and boxing, and then also have like 2 personal trainers.
Okay. And do you generally struggle with your weight, or are you pretty much
Um,
like consistent?
no, I don't really struggle with my weight. I more or less, I'm not really sure at this point in my life, like, should I be backing off on calories, increasing protein? Like, for the amount of exercise that I do, my joints are starting to hurt a lot. Um, Things like that. I'm definitely, like I said, I'm having hot flashes, and so now I'm like in this confused state of, I've always been someone who exercised and was in athletics and things like that, and I don't know, like, I'm not sure if I'm taking the right.
Right. It sounds to me like you might have some inflammation happening in your body too. And so like promoting anti-inflammatory foods would definitely help with the joint part. But your body's probably fluctuating, for sure. And without knowing prior to doing the protein method, like I'm not sure what you typically ate or how you structured your eating. I would say generally speaking, the method I use with the Stay Skinny method is
Mhm.
probably a little better for you, and then incorporating more of the protein on your own, just because, well,
Okay.
there's two sides to this. You're not worried about your weight and your calories right now. So maybe you can keep doing what you're doing. And I know you had that as a plan if that happens. Because like most women have the issues of wanting to lose some weight or to have problems maintaining their weight. The protein method, you should still, if you're, as long as you're active as you're saying, you should still have some weight loss or at least weight maintenance
Mhm.
with and having so much more, I don't know if you ate a lot of raw fruits and vegetables or that kind of stuff prior, but you are getting the green juice, you're getting the raw ingredients and the shakes and the skinny boosts and things like that every day. So that will be helping your body. But it would be on you, I would say, definitely to incorporate much more fresh fruits and vegetables in your day before you start having the nut stuff, because that's where all your anti-inflammatory nutrients are going to come from. And then be cognizant to always look at your fats in the evening, like those healthy fats I talked about, to help your hormones stay on track in the first place in the evening. But if you want, feel free, email me, lisatesta@rawgeneration.com. If you want to send me like 3 or 4 days of what you eat, I could definitely look at it for you and give you an idea if you should change some things. Happy to do that. It kind of goes on a case-by-case basis with
Okay,
that
that
kind
would
of
be
stuff.
awesome. Lisa, what's the last?
Lisa Testa, Testa.
Lisa.
Yep. Here, I'll
Okay.
put it in the chat. You can just copy it. Lisa.
Okay.
Testa.
Okay, perfect. I just have one more question. How do you feel about AG1? Is that the same as having dark leafy greens once a day?
It is not. It is, if it's your only option for getting in greens, it's better than doing nothing for sure. Actually, I'll give you a cool kind of story on this on the
Okay.
side. My brother's the opposite of me. I live on fruits and vegetables, and he hates fruit. Like always has since he's a kid. And he used to get sick a lot in college, and so I got him these. It's called Garden of Life is the brand. And it had these like green pills, like green superfood pills. And he started popping 4 of those a day. And once he started taking those, he literally never got sick again the rest of the time he was in college. So the right brand, the right company could certainly help if you're not going to eat it on your, like he wouldn't eat on your his own. However, you're doing yourself a disservice by not having the whole food, because you're not getting the fiber, you're not getting the other nutrients that are that might be missing that come along with the other stuff that you would be having. So my take is, if you're not going to be able to maintain it with the fresh stuff, definitely do it. But if you can do the fresh stuff at least some of the days, it's better.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Or in addition, like if you're gonna do the AG1 every day just because you're easy habit, don't give up on having it other times too. Don't give up on having a smoothie or a juice in addition to it. You can't really overdo it. I don't believe in I should say I don't believe in oxalates. They're a real thing. And there's a small group of people that have oxalate sensitivity. However, you have to have such a large amount for most people to have a negative effect that I feel personally that the benefits so far outweigh the risks. I mean, I've been having large 64-ounce green smoothies for the last 20 years, almost daily. And, I've never felt anything but good. I mean, I have not been to a conventional doctor literally in 20 years, as I don't really get sick and stuff. I mean, I'm not saying like I'm superwoman, but I just typically tend to have strong immunity and good energy and stuff. So, and I attribute that to being consistent with the chlorophyll every day.
Mm.
So if that helps.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank goodness. Drinking earth. Interesting. I've never tasted AG1, so is that it tastes like dirt, I guess is what you're saying. Karana on the side said she was drinking AG1 and it tasted like drinking earth. So that's what I don't like about so many green things. It is unappealing lots of times to have greens in powdered form. There's really no way to make them taste good in powdered form. I've tried different things. It's just a matter of if you want to suck it down or not. But that's why I like the juices and the smoothies. They actually are enjoyable. I love having them. So I think it's really important to make healthy habits things that are enjoyable and not a chore, because most times you will not stick long term with a habit that you make a chore. But if you like it and you look forward to it, if you make your smoothie taste like ice cream, why wouldn't you look forward to having it? Like my smoothie every day, it's like having a milkshake practically to me at this point in my life. And I look forward to them. And that's why the kids ask for them, because they taste sweet to them and it's like a treat. It's not like, oh, I have to have a green, sludgy, gross, grassy tasting thing. So if that means putting in one handful less of spinach, but you're going to do it every day and like it, it's a way better plan for the long term than trying to pack in half a thing called greens and then drinking it twice and thinking it was gross and giving up on it. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be all or nothing like that. Question from Paige. When we are drinking pressed juice, I assume we are not getting the fibers from the fruit and vegetables. Should we be concerned about that, or is there a reason to drink a smoothie instead? That's a great question. Paige, yes, you're drinking cold pressed juice, and you actually are getting some fiber in it, because we do have a small fiber filter that just keeps things smooth, but you are still getting some fiber, a small amount in the juices. Especially if you make them at home, you're getting even more because you're not filtering anything like we have a filter here. That being said, in my whole life as a nutritionist prior to working here, I've always been a proponent of juicing, but a bigger proponent of smoothies, which is why when I started here, we had no smoothies originally. All the smoothies that we now have, I added on to the gamut, because I really believe in the benefit of fiber and the whole fruits and vegetables being blended. So, and I feel that it's generally an easier habit for people to maintain, to make something in a blender and clean a blender in a few minutes than it is to clean a whole juicer every day. Most people will not sustain that habit, which is why we have a juicing company, because people don't want to juice, and we have something that people want that helps them be healthier that they can't do every day. So juicing is like concentrated nutrition. You can get a lot more bang for your buck, and especially if you're like therapeutically trying to heal something, or if you just want to get like a lot in a small package, juicing is awesome for that. Smoothies are great if you want to increase your fiber, have more of a whole food experience, and you want to have more volume, because like our smoothies are nut milk based, because that's what works. Basically, that's what we're able to produce and have it taste good and be an experience for you. My smoothies at home are not nut milk based; they're just fruit and vegetable based with water, and that's to me the absolute ideal. We have not found a way to be able to produce that and sell it that works here. I tried many times; it just does not work with the freezing thawing process, but with the nut milk, it does. So we at least can have that. That being said, if you have access to our fresh juice and you can afford to have it on a daily or regular basis, it's amazing for you. It's antioxidant, it's immunity boosting, it's that the chlorophyll with all the benefits. I already spoke about that, and then some. It's good for your gut health. It's good for your hormones, of course. So is one better than another? I think they both have different benefits and they're both good. I don't ever say do one, not the other. I think it's best to incorporate both if you have the means and the time to do both. Hope that answered your question. Okay, what else do we have? We still have about 20 minutes, so you certainly can ask more if you want to. Oh, Ty, you have a hand raised. Was that just from before, or did you have another question?
Oh, I apologize. I have to lower my hand. Sorry about
Oh, that's okay. No, I wasn't sure if you maybe just missed you.
that. Okay, thank you.
Yep. I just saw in the comments that someone who said that they tried the Jennifer. You just bought the powdered cleanse. Is this your first time trying it? Jennifer Kaplan, I think. Yes, Kaplan. Yes, but I haven't tried yet. Okay. I'll give you a note about this, and anyone else who's tried it. There's going to be some new packaging coming on the next run of these to be a little more explicit with the instructions, because we just said, I think, to shake it or mix it or something. But the reality of with these powders, we decided to do a powder cleanse just because it made sense for convenience for people. I tested literally every one on the market. I tasted a ton of them. They are disgusting. And I'm just thinking, like, this can't be what people are buying. They taste so gross. They're sickly sweet. They have junk in them. They have flow agents in them. Like, I was horrified at what I saw. So I set myself to figuring out how to make a healthy one. And we worked with a co-packer to do this because we don't really have a way to powderize things like that here. And he, I think, hated me because I was such a pain in the neck. Was like, I don't want a maltodextrin. I don't want a flow agent. I don't want anti-caking agents. I want nothing but the fruit and vegetable powders. And he's not going to mix it up. He fought me on it. So being made, we got to a point where we have these delicious, and I mean, they're really tasty powders, especially if you put them in the oat milk. They're like simply yummy. But with water, they just taste kind of like fine. They're not bad. They're definitely better than the competitors, but they're fine, but they're nothing special. They're really, really good with the oat milk or the plant milk, almond milk, whatever. But they mix with a shaker ball for sure, or with a blender. They don't mix in with a spoon. And that to me is how you know they're really natural and really good for you. And so the next package is going to say, don't mix with a spoon, shake them with a shaker ball bottle or a blend. And then it's totally fine. They blend in and they taste good. But I love, me personally, that it sets us apart, that we don't have one that can just dissolve into the liquid because it doesn't have the chemicals that makes that happen. They're just legitimately fruits, vegetables, and nuts in powdered form. So I hope you like them. I'm very curious. Let us know. One more question from Paige. Concerning spiking blood sugar, is there a concern about drinking juice with a lot of sugar content while empty stomach? Common question in general about juices and fruits and sugar and blood sugar. And if you've been here before, you've heard me say this, but if you haven't, then maybe you haven't. Fruit sugar in the form of juices, smoothies, and whole fruit is not the same as conventional refined sugar. It does not react in your body the same way. It is not processed in your body the same way. One is beneficial, this type, and one is not beneficial, the processed type. Even my diabetic clients, of which I have many, type 1, type 1.5, and type 2 diabetics, I have all of them on high fruit diets, including smoothies. Not as much the juices, sometimes juice, but more so whole fruits and smoothies, because that's where the fiber is, and the fiber helps balance that blood sugar. But what I teach them is how to combine fruit and fat. So what happens is we have become it's extremely commonplace in our culture to have fruit with fat, have an apple with peanut butter, have nuts and raisins, have cheese and apples, or whatever. It's like have one, and we're conditioned like we have to have something to balance out our fruit. We can't just have fruit by itself. It's like a sin to do that. When in reality, for your digestion's sake, for your sugar's sake, for your weight loss sake, it is ideal to have fruit by itself. In large quantities is totally fine, but by itself on an empty stomach or just when you're not eating other foods, especially fattening or high protein foods. So diabetics specifically, I teach them how to eat my light to heavy method, but they don't incorporate any fats until dinner time, and they have them only once a day at dinner time, and they have all fruits and other low fat things in the day. And when they do that, literally their blood sugar balances within 1 to 2 weeks. Case in point is a good friend of mine he had fasting blood sugar unbeknownst to him in the high 3s. So if you're not familiar with blood sugar, like you don't want to be over like 80 to 100 on any kind of regular basis. And then once you're over 200, you were kind of like loopy and act like you had a stroke or something. So he was walking around with this ridiculously high blood sugar, and it actually did cause him eventually to have a stroke. But once we found that out, that was a problem, I put on the same exact kind of regimen that I'm telling you about: high fruit, vegetables, light to heavy, blah, blah, blah. And he was a more serious case. He was on 2 insulin shots a day, blah, blah, blah. But within a month and a half was off all of his insulin and was no longer diabetic. His A1C completely normalized within 3 months. I mean, your body completely can respond to how you treat it. So you didn't ask me about diabetes, but it's the whole premise. The whole concept is the same. So as far as having juice on an empty stomach in the morning, if you're a person that has fluctuating blood sugar and you notice that you don't feel well, the couple things you could do is you could have some water in addition to your smoothie, or your juice. I mean, you can drink it more slowly, because we do tend to drink juice quickly. And you can easily drink juice faster than you can drink a smoothie, because smoothies are more filling and it's hard to drink them as fast. So I do recommend having them slower, or having water in between if it's the first thing you're having in the day and you tend to have blood sugar issues. Don't have that problem. I can easily drink a juice or 2 or 3 whenever I want in the morning, but not everybody can do that. So it's not dangerous for you. Just be cognizant of how your body feels. Does that answer your question? I think it kind of does, but if it doesn't, I'm happy to clarify more. Yes, great. Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. I don't think I did. No, okay. All right, guys, we're down to the last 10. What else can I answer for you before we hop off today? Nothing? We can certainly end early, but usually we go over. So don't be afraid if you have something to ask. Usually your questions are things people want to know also, that they like, should I ask? Shouldn't I ask? Or if you have a cool like testimony to share, I would love to hear you've used something that we've had or taken one of my tips and like added it to your life and you've noticed a difference, because that might encourage someone here to do the same. Jen, not about this subject, but can you talk about the metabolism boost tablets? Sure. You just want to know like about what they are, how they work, kind of a thing, I'm assuming. I'll explain them, and if I don't hit your question, you can type it in. So I'm pretty excited about these, actually. So when I first started working here, and this is like 3 years ago now, I was tasked with like, is there anything we can do with all of our juice pulp? Because we have all this nutrient-dense juice pulp that we just basically flush down the drain every day, tons of it a week, and it's a shame because, there's, of course, there's still nutrients present in that. We press the heck out of it, but there's still nutrients present, all that fiber in it, you're welcome, Andrea. So what could we do with this? And I've tried things, I had ideas, and we came to a thought of like, what if we just low temperature dried it and powderized it, because it's still a great source of fiber and nutrients that are left in it. And you do something with it. And so then we kind of thought, well, all of these supplements have so much junk in them. They have fillers in them. If you overlook the inactive ingredients, are always like the supplement looks great, and if you look at the bottom, it says inactive ingredients. You got like sucralose and like all kinds of weird chemically kind of stuff, which obviously I just told you is not a good thing. So we are starting a line of pulp-based supplements. So all of our supplements, the first one we have others coming, have a base of our fruit and vegetable pulp. So it's up to 37 I think it's 37 fruits and vegetables powderized in every pulp, in every capsule. And then for the metabolism boost specifically, we added some other ingredients that are super potent and effective. So in this capsule, we added berberine, which they say is like nature's Ozempic. I don't like to use Ozempic as a comparison, but it's an ancient, like thousands of years old Chinese herb. I think it's Chinese herb, that is supposed to help with metabolism regulation, blood sugar control. Same with the L-carnitine, similar. It's a plant-based L-carnitine, and it also helps with blood sugar control. And then we also added some Ceylon cinnamon, which is specifically for blood sugar balancing. So that, along with the fiber, makes it a kind of a boosting metabolism and blood sugar balancing support all in one. So we designed this pill if you do it with a juice cleanse, you have one with each juice, so 6 a day, one with each juice in your 6 juices, or 2 with each meal. So it ends up being 6 a day, and then that's how you get your full value that's on the bottle there of each type of nutrient. So it's kind of more to be as like a metabolism support if you need it, or a blood sugar support if you need that. We're in testing with it right now to see how much it supports blood sugar, and it's having some really, really promising effects. So keep a lookout for emails and things about that, because I'm sure I'll be writing about it when I have the results of the testing in. Jen, let me know if you had other questions that I didn't just cover about it. We make them all here at the facility, hand-filled capsules at the moment. So that's something to try for sure. One more. Not sure if this has progressed more since last time I was able to join a call. Anything on a mixed pack? Oh, are you the girl? Okay, you wanted the mixed pack. Not yet. However, we are finally at a point. We're finally at a point where we think we're able to ship safely less than 60 shots in a box and keep them frozen. This has been the problem with shots from the beginning, because they're such a small bottle, and we have to get everything in up to 2-day transit in some places of the country. I mean, we do have distribution centers in other parts of the country, but still certain areas, when you have 12-ounce bottles and they're all together in a box, they kind of keep themselves frozen or partially frozen. And if you get a bottle, and as long as there's still some ice in it, it's totally fine to drink. However, the shots, being only 4 ounces, thaw much more quickly. And we have never been able to pass any kind of shipping tests that we have with less than 60 bottles as a mass of the juice, unless we use dry ice, like we do for the kids stuff. So that being said, there is testing that is looking really promising for being able to have 30 bottles. And if that is the case, that will open up a different world of some different things we can do with shots and different combinations that we can't currently do and sell profitably. So no answer yet, but yes, it's closer than our last call. It is closer than our last call. Okay, Christine. Oh, you know what, guys? Let me just quick plug in. I just realized my battery's almost out of my computer here. I did start a daily turmeric ginger shot. I make them on Sunday, 5 oranges, 5 lemons, a bunch of turmeric, some pepper and cayenne. That sounds great. I did this for the inflammation I'm feeling. It fills enough little jars with a lid for the week. Great prepping there. I was a little hesitating because I always thought you had to drink fresh juice right away. Is it okay if they sit on the fridge for a week? Again, closed lid. Also, how long until I feel the results? I'm on week 2. Okay, great questions. Let me plug in. Give me 1 second so I don't die on you guys. Okay. So in an ideal world, yes, it's ideal to have something fresh out of the press, as soon as it's pressed, that has the highest antioxidant content. It has the highest of everything kind of content. However, it still has great benefit if it sits for a few days and it's sealed in an airtight container. One thing you can do to preserve it even further is they do have these vacuum sealing things that can go over your mason jar. I don't remember the brand, darn it. One of the people I see on Instagram has it. But it like stucks on the top of a mason jar and it takes the air out, and that will keep it even more potent and more vibrant with the nutrients than without having that. If you want to invest in something like that, I don't think it's a ton of money. I can't tell though for sure. I can't say for sure. It's better than doing nothing. So like I was saying before, if you're not able to make it 5 days a week or twice a week, and this is the way you can keep your healthy habit by doing it, keep it, because it's definitely better than most things that most people are doing. But is it as potent on day 5 as it is on day 1? No, it's not. But it's certainly still got stuff in it. It's just not as much stuff in it. How long until I feel results? So let me see. What are you doing this for inflammation you're feeling? Well, it's not like a quick fix pill. It will definitely help, but if the rest of your lifestyle or diet is still inflammatory, it's going to be a slower feel for you. It depends on what you do the rest of the time. Another great remedy though, and again, I use my mother as an example because she does everything I suggest her. If you're feeling like joint pain or inflammation things, if you have a little water and add some, like a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar to your bottle of water, it's like a miracle for reducing inflammation and pain. Like she'll do that when her joints are bothering her. She's 70 years old. And within a day, she's like, my knees don't hurt today now. It's the apple cider vinegar water. She swears by it. So I suggest maybe trying that, adding it to your regimen as well. But that being said, the rest of your week ideally should have more anti-inflammatory nutrients as well, not just the shots. The shots are great. You picked the great nutrients to do it with, but more fresh fruits and fresh vegetables, more anti-inflammatory things and less inflammatory things. So the inflammatory foods are fried foods, processed foods, seed oils, dairy, less of those things and more of the other things. And you'll feel the results much quicker. Yeah, the vinegar, it's amazing. And you have to get the type of vinegar. I recommend the Bragg's raw apple cider vinegar that has the mother intact, because a lot of them are just like kind of knockoff apple cider vinegars that really do nothing for you at that point. But a raw pasteurized one has all that benefit, especially for joint pain. Okay, that was a great question. I got 3 minutes left, guys. Anyone burning with something that I didn't get to? Okay, well, I loved this call. I love these calls I look forward to them every month. I love getting to meet with you guys and hear how you're doing. And especially now I feel like I'm getting friendly with some of you. I recognize when you come back, which is nice. So next month will be a regular call. If that's going to be on, let's see, what's the date? You'll get the email like always. To the date, December. I'll probably make it some kind of holiday focus, like how to not go completely off track for the holidays. That'll be on the 4th of December, same time. We always have our meetings the first Wednesday of the month at 1 p.m. Eastern time. However, the following month, January, is on New Year's Day, so that one will be pushed but you'll see that in your email. If you ever have suggestions or things you would like to me to talk about, I'm always happy to hear suggestions, either on these calls or if you want to email me separately. I read every review and every email that comes in personally. So I will definitely be the one to read it, and I will take it into consideration if you want a topic that covered. Another topic I'm considering maybe is GMOs. I thought about that last month too, because people ask me questions all about what GMOs mean, and it's pretty interesting when you dig into it. So anyway, I hope you guys will have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next month, I hope. Take care.